We are going deep today. Today we are talking about whether free will actually exists or whether it's just an illusion. After hearing what I've got to say today, you are going to be able to put to the test whether or not you actually have free will in your own life. After hearing what I've got to say today, you are going to be able to put this to the test and determine how much, if any, free will you have in your own life. So let's determine how much free will you have. Let's play a game. I am going to ask you to do something to determine how much free will you have. I want you to decide to move your body in a random way. Move your body right now in a way that you decided to move it. Even if you are in public and you don't want to draw attention to yourself, you could do something very, very subtle that other people wouldn't see you doing, just so that you can determine that you do actually have free will to move your body in whatever way you have chosen. Have you done it? If not, pause this until you have moved your body in some random way. If you really want to put this to the test, make a little movement in your body or a big movement, whatever you want, to determine whether you have free will to move your body in whatever way you want. Right, let's look at the way that you moved your body. Why did you make that particular movement? You've probably got a very good reason why you moved your body in that particular way. Maybe you chose something random, like you did some kind of weird movement that you would never normally do in real life, or maybe you would do some kind of movement that you often do in real life because that's the first thing that popped into your head. And when I asked you this question, did you feel like you were free to choose from the range of all of the different movements in the entire world? Did your brain make a massive big long list of all of the different ways that you could possibly move your body? No, your brain didn't give you this massive long list. It maybe gave you 1 or 2 or 3 different things to choose from. So you weren't free to choose any movement that you wanted. You were only free to choose from the 1, 2 or 3 options that popped into your mind. Your free will to choose a movement only extended to the point where your mind allowed it to. Did you make the conscious choice to limit your mind to just a few different choices? Or did that just happen automatically? No, you probably didn't choose to limit your thoughts. Therefore, you don't have complete free will over your own mind and the decisions that you make. And it might have seemed that you had free will to choose from the few options that popped into your mind, but how do you know that you were free to choose from this selection? How do you know that you weren't destined to choose what you chose from the ideas that popped into your head? And when it came to your body, did your body just randomly start moving on its own? Were you there watching your body and thinking, what is that hand doing? That is a really weird thing that my hand is doing. No, you didn't look at your body and think, what is my body doing? You decided to do that with your mind first. So I think we can all agree that your body doesn't have its own free will. Your body doesn't randomly move itself. All of your actions that your body takes come from the mind first. So it's only the mind that could possibly have free will, not the body. But let me ask you something else. This morning when you woke up, did you decide that you were going to listen to me talking about free will and that you were going to decide to randomly move your body in a particular way? No, when you woke up this morning, you had no idea that you'd be doing this right now, that you'd be thinking thoughts about your body randomly moving in a random way. You had no idea you were going to be doing this or thinking this, so you didn't decide to do this first thing in the morning. You're only moving your body in a random way because I asked you to. It was me who put that thought in your head to move your body. It turns out you didn't really have free will in that respect at all. And maybe you're thinking, aha, well, I didn't move my body at all. I didn't listen to you. I didn't follow your suggestions. Therefore, I decided that I was not going to move my body. Caught you out there because I have free will to decide not to move my body. But it all still comes back to the mind. Are you controlling your thoughts about moving your body in a particular way? You still had to make a decision whether or not you were going to move your body in a particular way. And I put those thoughts in your mind to start with. You didn't decide to randomly start thinking about whether or not you were going to choose to move your body or not move your body. You're only making that decision whether to do it or not because I'm asking you to do something. So let's delve a bit deeper into free will, shall we? Let me ask you some more questions to help you determine whether or not you think you have free will or not. Are you free to choose how your organs work inside your body? No, we're not. Are you free to decide how gravity works and how the earth moves? No, we're not. Did you decide that you were going to be born at all? No, you didn't. Your human self didn't decide that. Did you decide what you were going to look like when you were born? What your name was going to be? Did you decide who your parents were going to be and where you lived? Did you decide what your childhood was going to look like? Most people will agree that no, we don't have free will to determine all of that. All of that was given to us on a plate, but now that we are conscious, we must have free will, surely. We're our own person, we're individuals, we have our own needs, preferences, desires. We want what we want and we're free to choose what we want. But are we really free? Did you choose your own preferences? Did you sit down with a big long list of things that you could possibly prefer in your life and decide, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I'm going to decide I'm going to prefer this particular thing? Or did you randomly just have particular desires? Yes, you've tried out and tested a lot of things, but you haven't tested everything in the whole world. Did you decide your own personality? Did you decide what your gifts and your talents and your strengths were going to be? Did you decide what kind of job that was best suited for you? Or how you were going to use your gifts and talents to their fullest? We know that everything that happens first comes from our minds, from our thoughts. But do you decide your own thoughts? If you've ever tried meditating for any length of time, you will know that the answer is probably no. You're just sitting there meditating, trying to be all Zen-like, and then all of a sudden these random thoughts are coming into your mind. You're replaying this conversation that somebody annoys you yesterday and it's popping into your mind. What am I going to have for dinner? I need to write this item on my to-do list. Oh, I've just had some random idea over there. Oh, I've just had a great idea. This is going to be really good. I'm going to write that down as well. Did you decide any of those thoughts, or did they just randomly pop into your mind? Are you free to stop thinking at all? If you decide, no, I'm just going to meditate and I'm not going to think any thoughts at all, can you have the free will to stop your thoughts? And the answer to all of these questions is no. You aren't free to do any of these things, to decide any of these things. So maybe you don't have as much free will as you think you do. Here's what most people believe about free will. Most people believe that we do have free will. And this is very normal. And it feels very right to think that we have our own free will because we are supposed to believe this. It's the whole purpose of human existence. And it gives us great joy and pleasure that we feel like we've got control over our own lives and our own destiny. Thinking that you don't have any free will is too much of a depressing thought. Why would anybody want to believe that? Most people won't even contemplate the thought that free will doesn't exist because it doesn't benefit them in any way to think like this. It's only when you reach a particular point in your spiritual journey that you will even contemplate topics such as this. So the fact that you're even listening to me shows me that you have a great level of awareness and you are open to what I'm saying to you. Now here's what most scientists believe about free will. Most scientists don't believe that humans have free will. And the reason why most scientists don't believe that we have free will is because that they have done studies into the brain, and it shows that we have actually made a decision before we are conscious of believing that we have made that decision. The studies show that our brain receives information that gives us the impression that we have made a decision based on free will, but in actual fact, we haven't. And during these studies, participants were asked as to the reason why they chose a particular decision. And they might have said things like, well, it was something that I'd had previous exposure to, or I had a familiarity with it, or it felt very comfortable, and they'll be able to justify the reason why they've made a decision. But studies have proven that these have no relevance to the actual decision that's been made. What happens is the decision is made first and then you justify it And that gives you the illusion of having free will over your life. Most scientists believe that humans don't have free will, but they don't know where these thoughts are coming from. Some scientists are atheists and they just think that these thoughts are random that pop into your head, and others think there must be some kind of external God that is putting the ideas into your head. So now we know what most people think and we know what scientists think about free will. Here's what I think about free will. I believe something different to scientists when it comes to free will, and this involves a very advanced spiritual concept. What I believe is that humans don't have free will over their physical actions and most of their thoughts. I believe that having a consciousness of a human is an illusion itself. So anything a human does and thinks is also an illusion. The truth is that there is only one universal mind. That universal mind wanted to experience being a human, and the only way to fully experience being a human is to close off some of the consciousness of the entire universal mind and give the illusion of being cut off from the universal mind for a short period of time where the human is alive. As humans, we are supposed to forget that we are part of the universal mind so that we feel cut off from the universal mind, separate from the universal mind, so that we can enjoy things that the universal mind couldn't do when it's unlimited. We have to be limited so that we can enjoy things like relationships. That's why most people can't believe that we don't have free will as humans, because we are designed to believe that we have free will as humans. That's normal and natural to believe that we have free will as humans. But it turns out that humans don't have their own mind. All of their thoughts come from the universal mind. A human's thoughts tell them what they need to be thinking. A human's thoughts tells them that they have free will. So why aren't my thoughts telling me that I've got free will if all humans are supposed to think like this? And for most of my life, I did believe that I had free will like most people did. But now I've changed my mind. And this is because the universal mind has decided that it's going to give some humans more access to the universal mind than others. Some people have a longing, a yearning to find out the truth, and they are much closer to finding it. But they didn't decide that they were going to have a longing for the truth. Their thoughts were put there by the universal mind. Some people are given more knowledge, that they have more control over their own conscious reality. Some people are made aware that they can use their imagination to manifest what they want into their reality, and other people will never get that knowledge. The way in which you consciously manifest your desires into reality is by using the imagination. The imagination is the doorway to using some of the power of the universal mind. And all humans have been given this power of the universal mind, this power of the imagination. But most humans have never been allowed to think thoughts that would lead them to ever harnessing this power of the imagination for getting what they want. So most people only use their imagination subconsciously and automatically. Some people are able to use their imagination consciously, but still in a limited way. These people are still limited by their own desires. Their desires were placed there by the universal mind. So some people think that they have control over their own human existence because they've tapped into the power of using their imagination, but they didn't put those thoughts in their head in the first place. They didn't put their desires in their head in the first place. So how do we go about tapping into the power of the universal mind? You do this by using your imagination. So how do we use our imagination to harness the power of the universal mind? The universal mind is a creator. It is constantly imagining different things that it wants and that it desires. And as humans who are consciously aware of our power of our imagination, we can use this to manifest our own human desires. So whatever you desire, what you can do is you can imagine that you already have it. This is how everything is created. You have to feel as if you already have that very thing, and then it will manifest and be projected out into your perceived physical reality. And what I suggest you do is create a scene in your imagination. I call this a reverse memory. It's creating a memory of something so vivid and so real, it's as if it's already happened, but you you do this in your imagination and you replay this reverse memory over and over in your imagination until it becomes a real memory. And when it becomes a real memory, then you know it's going to manifest into your physical experience. So here are some mistakes to avoid. So this might have got you thinking. You might not agree with me, and that's completely fine. I totally understand. I don't see it as any reflection on me because I didn't decide to believe this and you didn't decide to believe that. Therefore, I really don't mind what you think about me. It has no impact on my own thoughts about myself because I know where my thoughts came from in the first place and I know where your thoughts came from. Therefore, I wouldn't be blaming you as a human, and I know that our existence as a human is based on contrast. Some people are supposed to agree with us and other people aren't supposed to agree with us, and that's all part of the fun and games. So yes, I'm completely happy for you if you believe in free will. That is great. And if what I've said has really got you thinking and you are questioning whether free will actually exists and maybe it's freaking you out a little bit, just remember this. Remember that you are here as a human to experience everything. It's okay to enjoy being a human and forget that you don't have free will. I like to forget that I don't have free will. It's a core belief that I believe that I don't have free will, but I like to forget about it because I like to enjoy the human experience and decide what I want. And it does feel empowering to make decisions and think, yes, I decided that, and have an ego and think, I did that. But really, when I think about it, I think, no, it just came from the universal mind. It came from the director. The director of my life is putting those thoughts in. I can't really take the credit from that, can I? So yes, it's nice to have this illusion that we have this ego that needs to be satisfied, but that's just part of life. We're supposed to have that. Everything is set up this way. Everything is set up so you can experience and enjoy being a human. And as part of enjoying being a human, enjoy those powers of the universal mind. Enjoy the powers of the imagination that you've been given conscious access to, that you've been given the conscious thoughts about, and now you know the truth about how to tap into that universal mind. And now you might be at the point where you're questioning free will, and you might be starting to have more doubts about free will and what it really means. So let me answer some of the questions that you might have at this point. Now, if what I'm saying is true, does that mean that all evil is created by the universal mind? Yes, I believe that all good and bad is created by the universal mind, because I believe that there is one mind, one universal mind, and this mind is in control of everything. If this mind wasn't in control of everything, then nothing would exist, because nothing would have been imagined and created. For there to be evil and bad in the world, it had to be imagined by somebody, by something. And because we know that our human thoughts aren't actually real, they are illusion, they're just put there, they need to be put there by something or someone else. A lot of people say, well, this is the devil, God couldn't possibly do this, God is all good, God is all loving, it's the devil doing this. But I believe that there is one universal mind, and if you want to imagine the devil, then the devil would also be part of that one universal mind. You can't believe in one mind unless you believe that that one mind could control and imagine everything, including a perceived devil. A lot of people like to blame people and believe in a good God, a loving God, a God that would never dream of doing these horrible things to other people. But really, we can't have our human experience without bad things. Bad things need to happen. And I'm just about to create another video on why do bad things happen, so I'll go into this in a bit more detail in that video. But basically, we can't have good without also having bad. So this is a system based on duality. There is always two sides to everything. What is good must also be bad in some ways. For some people it's good, for other people it's bad. There is always going to be this up and down, push and pull type of existence for humans. It's the way it's supposed to be, it's the way it's designed. If we didn't have good and we didn't have bad, we wouldn't have the illusion of free will. And if we didn't have the illusion of free will, then life would be very dull and very boring. If everything was perfect all the time, then what would be the point? Because we wouldn't be able to help anybody. There would be no point in relationships because we wouldn't need anything, because we're all perfect all the time anyway. Here's another common question. If I was to believe that we don't have free will, that our thoughts are put there, that means that People aren't really in control of the good things that they've done, of the bad things that they've done, and so we can't hold people accountable for the bad actions that they've taken, and therefore how could we have a justice system? Because we can't really blame anybody for anything, and everybody would just be running around, hurting people, killing people, doing whatever they wanted to do, because we wouldn't be able to punish anybody. And I personally don't think that this would ever happen. One, because most people in the world would still believe in free will. I really don't think that we're ever going to be able to change everybody's mind that people don't have free will, because we are designed to believe that we have free will. So that's never going to happen. And secondly, even if it did happen, we would still want a safe environment to live in. So even if somebody doesn't have control over the bad things they are doing, we will still want some kind of system in place to keep those people separate from people, or to rehabilitate them, or do what we can, but we certainly wouldn't be letting people run around freely hurting people, whether they choose to do that or not. And you might now be thinking, well, okay, so you're trying to convince me that I don't have free will, but what's the point? What are the benefits of believing that you don't have any free will? Surely it's better to believe that you do have free will, so you've got control over your life, and so you feel like you can actually decide something and make a decision and go forward. If you don't believe in that, aren't you just going to be really depressed? You're just going to sit in your house, stay on the sofa, because you think, well, I've got no control over anything, so I'm just going to lie here and let things just automatically unfold, and I'm just going to get more and more depressed. And actually, this is not going to happen, because your body is only moving, and it would only be lying on the sofa because your mind would be telling it to do that. But because you don't have control over your mind, you're not going to get depressed and start lying on the sofa doing nothing, because you don't believe in free will, because you don't have free will over those thoughts. So your mind is going to tell you, now you need to get up, now you need to go and eat, now you need to do exercise, now you need to go to work. And your mind's just going to keep on telling you to do those things, whether you believe in free will or you don't believe in free will. You've still got the universal mind dictating what you do. But now let me tell you about the benefits of not believing that you have free will. Why the absence of free will is the most freeing thing in the whole world. Believing that we don't have free will has had the most radical impact on my entire life. My relationships have all improved massively. I am now able to forgive everybody anything that they may have ever done to harm me or to harm anybody else that I come into contact with. Therefore, I don't hold grudges. I don't have this anger and resentment deep down inside of me. It's not making me physically sick because I'm not holding on to resentment, and I have no resistance to having good relationships in my life. So all of my relationships have improved tenfold. I also now don't hold myself accountable for any things that I might have done to harm people or hurt people in the past. And this has freed me from feeling guilt and feeling resentment for myself as a human. I am now able to appreciate and completely love my human self, because I know that the universal mind invented my human self, created my human self perfectly. Whether I have good things and bad things, those are all perfect. This human existence was a perfect creation. So I now don't resent anything about myself. I don't look in the mirror and hate what I see, because I think this all came from the universal mind. I was supposed to look like this. I was supposed to act like this. I was supposed to think like this. It's all perfect. It's all perfectly designed. So I accept myself fully. And I no longer mind what other people think about me, because I know that their thoughts were placed in their head. It's not their human self who has decided to dislike me or dislike what I'm saying. So therefore, I know that it's all part of the game that the universal mind is playing, and that it's all part and parcel of everything. So I don't mind if people dislike me or dislike my message. It really doesn't bother me in the slightest. I know that if I have bad thoughts about myself, then that will get projected out, and other people will say those bad thoughts back to me. But if I accept myself fully and I accept who I am, then I don't get those bad things mirrored back to me or projected back to me, because I've accepted myself fully. And I now see myself more as the universal mind, and therefore much more powerful than my human self. So whatever happens in my human life is just a drop in the ocean compared to my true potential. And I know that I, the universal mind, put myself here in my physical reality to experience everything, to experience good and bad, and good and bad aren't really real. They're just an illusion. Life is just here to be experienced, and that has made me want to live my life, my human life, to its fullest, because I know the real reason why I'm here. And I love that I've been given access to the universal mind, and that I'm able to manifest what I want, and that I've been given thoughts to tell me that I'm able to do that. So I'm using this to its fullest advantage to get more of my human desires in this lifetime, because I know that I'm supposed to experience the things that I desire as a human. I don't feel guilty about them. I don't feel like I should push away any material desires that I have, or any other desires I have in life, that I should just be spiritual and just meditate all day. I don't feel like that. I feel like I should embrace my human self, because this is why I'm here. My desires were given to me because I'm supposed to experience them. And because of this access to the power of the imagination that I've been given, I am now living my perfect day, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And if you want to manifest your perfect day, click the link in the description below, and that will show you how to do it. And I've got 2 other videos for you to go and watch right now. Does everybody have a desire to manifest something? This will surprise you. And how to be the main character in your life from a spiritual perspective, which will go much more into this subject, into the roles that we've got as the universal mind that I call the director, and the human that I call the actor, and how it all works and links together. And I'd love to know what your comments are below. Do you believe in free will? Why do you believe this? What proof do you have? What do you think about everything that I've said today? What are your thoughts? While you're there, like this video and subscribe for more. And now it's your turn to go and put your stamp on the world.